Hello, friend. You're watching Call Sign Trouble. I'm Byron Bullets. Today I want to talk about how I became such a big knucklehead. In my day, I have been referred to as a knucklehead, a hard case, trouble, and all around dumbass. I have been known to get in a tussle or two. Sophisticated society would call it a altercation or even a confrontation. Some would call it a dust up, a Donnybrook, ruckus, scraps, squabbles, scuffles, or what I like to call a good old-fashioned brawl. You guys get it. I'm a real fucking tough guy. I'm about to say a series of really outrageous shit. Admittedly, I get it. I understand this. So go on with the comments, okay? I know what I'm fixing to say. And you can choose to believe me or not. I'm not here to force you one way or the other. But what I can say is 100% the honest to God's truth. This is so dumb. This is something I'm truly not proud of. But I have been in over 200 street fights. And now I'm gonna spend the next hour doing a horrible job at pretending I'm not proud. But seriously, some of these fights are worthy of a video. Some of those fights, I am gonna make a video in detail. But not today. Today I wanna dig into how I became that way. So that when I do tell these stories, you understand where I'm coming from, right? You're not just hearing a violent story. I'm not gonna sit here and gaslight the world into making you believe I'm squeaky clean. I'll be the first to admit that I'm a mess. There may have been a time when I couldn't see the damage that I had been causing. Maybe life was going too fast for me to see all that. But I'm in a different place now in my life. I'm living a slow life. I am looking back at my life. I am acknowledging the damage, and I'm doing my best to fix what I can fix, and above all, change. The best way I can prove that I'm sorry, guys. Blah, blah, blah. Let's get to the fights. How did such a sweet boy grow up to be such a big dickhead? I think the answer is really simple. Necessity. Unfortunately, I didn't grow up in a safe environment. I didn't have parents to protect me or shield me from the evils of the world. I mean, I have parents, obviously, I exist. But this isn't the video where I bash my parents. That will come some other time. So we're just gonna breeze past the fact that they left me to fend for myself in this cold, cold world. And we can get to talking about how I've been running the streets since I was in the 3rd grade. Okay. In their defense, my parents had me when they were like 15 and 16 years old, respectively. So, what do 2 teenagers know about being parents? They were just kids themselves, for Christ's sake. So while they were finishing high school and higher education in trade schools and whatnot, I was left in the care of my grandparent. My grandfather was a goddamn World War II veteran. What the hell does he know about kids in the 80s? That man had a temper and a short fuse, and he dealt with everything with the belt. That is when he felt like dealing with me. Most of the time, he would just give me a $20 bill and tell me to fuck off. He just wanted me out of his hair so he can get drunk. I don't really blame him. I didn't like being around him when he was drunk. I don't like to see grown men crying. And the things that he seen and did when he was at war with Japan, they haunt him, and it would come out when he drank. And also, he would be very abusive to me while he was drinking. But, quick thinking, I would just bug him. He would give me $20. I leave, I come back in an hour, bug him a little more. He would peel me off another 20, forgetting that he already gave me money. Yeah, boy, I'm a hustler. Only Gen Xers will really understand this, but $20 in the 80s might have been $1 million for all we know, right? Anybody who was a Gen Xer, how much could you buy in $1.85 with a $20 bill. Jumbo Jacks were 99 cents back then. I could buy the whole crew lunch and still have money left over. But I digress. And when my grandpa couldn't watch us, my mom would just have one of her friends watching me or just some acquaintance. That was pretty irresponsible, but what do you expect from a teenager? Now, a little bit of backstory on me. I was a little dude, little. My mom, she's not a very tall lady. My father, definitely a short king, right? I think my dad was 5'2" or 5'4" or something like that. He was crazy short. So yeah, in the height department, I got shorted. The reason that's important is because it's basically the reason why I got so much shit over the years. I was too small to defend myself against anything. So when I got picked on, and I got picked on a lot, I couldn't do much about it. If I fought back, it just made things worse. They beat me even harder. Violence is how we handle things in our family. There were no timeouts to think about what we've done. There were no speaking our feelings. Feelings are weaknesses in my family. And those weaknesses got exploited, so we weren't even allowed to cry. Crying just got you beat harder. For instance, when I was 10 years old, we were at the laundromat, me and mom, and I got my finger smashed in the door. Smashed so hard that meat was pushed out the top, and I freaked out. I screamed from the pain. Blood was dripping down my hand. I was hyperventilating. I was about to pass out, not from just the pain, but the sight of my own meat and all of the blood was making me sick. Oh, and I was causing a scene. So my mom told me to shut the fuck up. And so I went from to and my mom still said, "Stop it." She said, "Does crying make it hurt less, or does it still hurt?" And I said, "Oh, it still hurts. And what's the point in crying?" And I'll be damned if that didn't make a lot of sense. So I stopped crying. It still hurt just the same. Except now, nobody's looking at us. So that's the day I stopped crying. I didn't cry again until I was 15, when my sister passed away. 5 years is a lot of years and not crying, man, let me tell you. It really is, it's not healthy. But I digress. No, I didn't grow up in a nurturing family. I'm not trying to justify it, but it is a cold world. Nobody owes me anything, and what good would have raising me sensitive would have done for me in life except make me soft. And that's just one of those things I hate about myself. I have to be fair. As a child, my basic needs were met. Even though times sometimes got really hard for us, I always had food, clothes, and a shelter, right? And sometimes they weren't the greatest, but I did have those needs met. And when they weren't being met by the people who were supposed to be providing, I went out and got it myself. And that's how I began running the streets at 7 years old. But let's not get off track. I'm really trying to stay on track, guys. It's really hard because there's a very, very important part that I can't miss. And I've already deleted so much footage because I went past it, and I need to say it. So fucking hard. So I've established that my home life wasn't all that great. I'm not the only one, right? It's not something that's unique. I'm just one of many, many, many children who grew up in an abusive and neglectful household. I'm acknowledging that. And whatever I went through is not any worse than what any of you went through. Please understand that I'm not saying that. I'm just telling my truth, okay? So when my grandparents, who were not great at watching children, when they couldn't watch me, I was left in the care of my mom's friends or acquaintances of my mom, or acquaintances of their friends. I remember many times being in the care of a friend of friends. That's fucking wild. But that's not the bad part. And it happened many times, and I will probably go over it in future videos. But many times throughout my young childhood, I was sexually abused. Like a handful of times by many different people. The worst ones to offend were my mom's friends, though, her friends, and their children. These were a constant source of abuse. And these people had lost their kids to the system once before, and I'm being placed in their care. That's so wild to me. And when children are threatened with death and they don't fully understand death, they can't comprehend death, right? But I'm from LA in the 80s, and death is all around me all the time. I'm very familiar with death. So when someone threatens your life, I got a good understanding of what that means, and this is how they keep you quiet. To make it worse, one of my abusers had a fucking hook hand. A fucking hook hand. Now imagine being threatened with that cold fucking hook against your cheek. I haven't spoken about that to anyone. And the wife used to beat the shit out of me. Beat the absolute shit out of me. She used to hit me with a rubber handle for a Tupperware lunchbox. Only people from the 80s or older understand what I'm saying. Tupperware used to make like a Tupperware dish. It had two little handles on the side, two little notches. And then they sold an extra piece, which was just a rubber strap with like a triangle, and the triangle would latch on both of those handles, and you can carry your Tupperware like a lunchbox. But it was a strap about this big, just solid rubber, and that little triangle on the end. She used to beat the shit out of me with that solid rubber strap. And the children used to be just as bad. The oldest daughter, she's a teenager. I think she was like 14 or 15. She used to show me her titties, and when she was babysitting us, she would get naked and jump in bed with me, and she would make me touch her, and she would touch me, and crazy to think about. I used to like it, so I never said anything about it. Plus, I didn't want to get in trouble. So I just let it happen. And it happened for years. Now I believe that a person loses their virginity, they give it away. They give it to a person. That's what I think officially losing your virginity means. But unfortunately, I was 7 years old when I had my first dance with the devil. But the neighbor kid, he got to me well before that. So, weird games of hide and go seek. I didn't know these things were bad, I know I didn't like it, but you get threatened with death if you told anybody. Yeah, this dude said he would kill my dog, Bandit. I'll believe him. I don't have any reason but to believe him. And even if I wanted to tell somebody, what the fuck were they gonna do, man? These people beat me too, They don't sexually molest me, but, I can't go crying to my family. Nobody wants to hear that shit. And some of you might know what it feels like, and I'm sorry, and I know your pain, but some people don't know what it feels like to know in your heart of hearts you don't have any place to go, anyone to talk to, right? So you just don't. You don't talk to anybody. You swallow it down. You learn how to live with it. You rise above it so it doesn't tear you apart, or it tears you apart. And there are people out there in the world who fell apart because of this shit. And I'm sorry. It's just the sad reality of life. If I was bigger and stronger, I could have protected myself. It's just sad that I didn't have anybody to protect me. Now, from getting beat up by all the neighborhood kids, walking to and from school, getting bullied in school, all the way up to high school, because I'm just too little to defend myself. It was a rough time for your boy, for sure. But I didn't let any of that get me down. I didn't. And eventually, I would stand up for myself. In high school, on the first day of school, I was peer pressured into picking a fight with someone, and I got my ass kicked in front of the whole school. It was quite embarrassing. I mean, by this time, I'm a master at getting my ass kicked. That wasn't the problem. The problem was how it finally made me feel. I finally felt embarrassed for being such a little bitch, because it doesn't matter if you're a little person or a big person. I felt bad for not standing up for myself. And I did pick this fight, but I learned a lesson, right? They call it fuck around and find out now, right? I fucked around, I found out. But that wasn't the lesson. Because even though I embarrassed myself in front of the school, I learned that I could be proactive for once. And for some reason, this is when it dawned on me that I could take a punch and still live. Like, I'm not made of glass. Like, I don't know, for some reason that just never dawned on me. But it dawned on me then, like, you're not made of glass, dude. Quit being such a bitch and do something. So the very next time someone picked on me, I gave him a fucking black eye. And I hit him like I had been fighting my whole life. But I hit him with a lot of anger. Yeah. I didn't lose that fight. And I wouldn't lose a fight ever again. It was as if I took my manhood back from all those years of abuse. That was done. The thing that I had not understood, the reason why I won all those times, was the intensity and where this intensity was coming from. And once I became more confident, I became addicted to this. My whole life changed the day that I took my life into my own hands, you know? I took control of my life, and I was gonna get everything I wanted in life. Everything. I want that job, I get that job. I want that car, I get that car. I want that girl, I get that girl. I'm in control. And you can try and get in my way, you know, not gonna do you any good one way or the other. I'm gonna find my way over you, around you, or I'll go through you. But I was getting what I wanted. And for a very long time, that worked for me. I was happy. I was genuinely happy, but I wasn't doing it right. And I was creating damage. I didn't see it. I didn't care to see it. Why would I care? Who gave a shit about me? When I was meek, who cared? So why should I care? And now when I look back on my life, I played a major role in turning people into the people that I hate. I became the people that I hate. So I would work my way up past the 200 mark. I think bouncing bars after the military was a fun job, but man, you're brawling like every night. Every night, somebody wants to fight you because they got too drunk and they thought, what do you think, you're all bad or what? Because you got that badge. Oh, it's just a screen printed badge, man. You know, people get drunk, they don't like authority. They don't like to be told what to do and blah, blah, blah. I get it. But there was some dickhead always trying to take a shot at me. And some dickhead always spitting out his teeth at the end of the night. That helped bolster the numbers for sure. It came a point where like I couldn't even walk around my town anymore because that's just the reputation that I had. I was no longer welcome to social events because I bring too much heat event. And that sucked, man. Sucked. Hurt my feelings. When the cops pull me over, they pull me over 4 units deep, and you know, they do this show of force. And I've never had a problem with the police officers, but my record, I guess, I don't know if there's a note in there. I've never had a problem with cops, but I would have to deal with them a lot. And all this comes to a head around 2007 when I'm out in the world and I see a man beating up a woman. No, not on my watch. I intervene, trying to do the right thing, at very minimum to get him to stop accosting her, you know, maybe turn that aggression on toward me. I can handle it. And I run up on him and he takes a shot at me, and just like it happens in slow motion, and I just duck under that very telegraphed punch, and I punch him right in the cheek, right here. And I punched a lot of people in the head over the years. It feels different when I punch him than it normally has. It feels different, enough for me to worry. And also the way he fell had me worried, because when you knock someone out, they usually stiffen up, you know? They fall down like a tree, stiff. Or, you know, they'll fall, they'll stumble, and then they'll fall. But never have I ever seen anyone that just wadded up like paper. He just fell on himself like he just short-circuited. He just crumpled like a beer can. And I think, fuck, I killed this man. Fuck. I know a guy who killed a man like that once with a punch, and I was sure I did that too. That's a 6-year sentence to a 9-year sentence minimum, because at very worst, that's an involuntary manslaughter. I didn't premeditate it. It was in the heat of passion, and I was defending myself. But if I kill a man in a fist fight, I'm gonna do some kind of time, especially in Arizona. So I pick him up, and he moves. Oh, thank God he's not dead. I dust him off. He's like, what happened? I was like, you got knocked the fuck out, man. Had to do it. Why? You hit this girl. I did. I completely reset this guy's brain. Full factory reset. He was like, oh man, I'm sorry. I was like, dude, don't apologize to me. Apologize to the lady. And then I let them talk, and I left. 30 minutes later, they're hauling him out of this party, and his head is as big as a basketball, completely round. His whole face was just swollen. Yeah. The sheriff department come looking for me. It is what it is, man. Tried to defend myself in court, but I ended up taking a plea deal because they did come and get me, and I did go to jail. It took my family forever to bail me out. I'm appreciative that they did, but I got off with time served, bunch of restitution, and if they wanted a guilty plea, that I needed to have that felony assault charge get dropped to an undesignated misdemeanor. And I played it smart. I mean, if I had better representation, I might have fought it, but this guy was a piece of shit. And I'm gonna tell this story one day, crazy story. But I just wanted to get this over with. And I got through it. I got through the probation, and it was a complete life-changing experience. I quit drinking. Obviously, I quit fighting. And I lost a lot of friends because I learned who was my homie and who wasn't my homie in that ordeal, for sure. So I just did a complete restructure of my whole life. But that was a lot of years ago. I've done a lot of living since then. And I'm gonna try and get back on track, you know, with the whole theme of why. 200 sounds like a ridiculous number. I agree with you. I agree with you. But do you agree that there are more than 200 dumbass people in the world that I would come across in a life like mine? Which I know this is only like the 5th video or whatever, but you'll understand my life more as I make more videos. I live a large life, man. I see a lot of people. I'm gonna run into 200 fucking dummies. Promise you that. And the reason why I fight with such intensity is because I'm in a lot of pain. Hurt people. And now 200 doesn't seem like such a big number, does it? That's like 17 fights a year, bro. It's not a lot. Maybe for a civilized person, 17 fights in a year is like too much fighting, but not for a military guy with combat PTSD and a life like mine. 17 is not a lot. That's like a fight a month, you know? That's not a lot. That's not a lot, but it is. It is a lot. And although I will glorify it all in like stories in the future, right? I will tell stories in detail, in rich detail. I promise that I'm truly not proud, because it hasn't done anything for me in my life. Do you think anybody is talking about, you know, this knockout or that knockout? I got some classics, dude. Some classics. You think anybody's talking about the dude I punched like fucking Debo punched Red? No, that's my bike, punk. Nobody talks about that stuff. And my hands ache, buddy, my hands. My knuckles are flat because they're busted up. I'm achy all over. My back hurts. My back hurts from all the objects that people have hit me with. Nobody's talking about these things, man. So what was it all for, right? What the fuck was it all for? I wish to God that I had someone in my life to guide me, man. And we'll talk about my folks another time. Because that shitty parenting turned me into a shitty parent, man. And yeah, I just don't want to cause any damage to my kids. They can be mad at me all they want, but they never seen that side of me. They never seen that side of me. One time I flicked my son in the nose. But I never spanked my kids. No. And I have been in some toxic relationships, but they never get so crazy where they get physical. Really close, really close. I've always been good about just leaving before it gets crazy. Just get out, get away from the situation. I didn't have anybody teach me that. It just seemed like the only thing that seemed like what was right to do. Because before I learned how to communicate my feelings, I used to just argue until the wee hours even, you know? Don't act like I'm the only one that's ever argued till way late into the night when you have to work the next day. Because I want to fix things, right? When you can't just fix things like with the snap of a finger. You need time, right? I didn't know these things when I was younger, but walk away. When I started doing that, I hope I unlocked a new level. Walking away from confrontation was a big step in my life. And learning how to break up with someone was a big step. And I unlocked a level in life. And I am guilty of hopping from one relation to the next, right? For a long time, I didn't like to be alone. And I wouldn't waste people's time if the relationship wasn't real or going anywhere. I would not waste time. I would just say, hey, this isn't working out. It's been great, but I'm not feeling it, you know? And do the hard thing and break someone's heart, but you do that before you cheat on them, you know? But I was like really codependent, and I always had to have someone in my life, so I would just go from one to the next, to the next, to the next, never really stopping to learn any lessons. All the while I'm causing damage in their lives, right? But I don't really got to deal with that because I'm on to the next thing, and on to the next thing, and on to the next thing. But that's where it kind of leads me to today, right? I'm getting off the track of why I'm such a big asshole. Like, I used to fight out of necessity because I needed to defend myself. But it moved past that, and it moved into a bloodlust because I felt like I had some catching up to do. I don't know. Maybe there is some truth to that, you know? It's not the whole reason, but there is truth to that. I'll admit it. But when it came down to fighting for no reason, and now I live a life of peace. You can't rattle me. You can't say anything so damaging that I would stoop to a level I don't want to stoop to. That's not an invitation, dickhead. I'm just making a statement. Because I know real pain, emotional, physical, mental, like I know real pain. You can't say something that, you know, that's fucking stupid. Literally, sticks and stones have broken my bones, but dude, I've never, you know, words, bro, come on. That's fucking stupid. That's so, I get that, you know, there's people in the world who don't have the skills, the coping skills or whatever, like the skills to deal with it, so they just get super upset, but that's not me. And it is one of my hopes for this channel that I can connect with people with a similar experience, right? Me and you, we're connected. We're not the same, but we are connected by our experience. And if I can help you overcome something, that's what I'm here to do, man. And every time I got my ass kicked was not for no reason. Or anytime I got molested, that was for no reason. Like, somebody in the world now knows they weren't the only one that happened to. And if they can see someone who overcame it and became a success in life, you can too, and I'm here for you. For sure. Because the world don't need that shit, man. And I am all for these men's right activists, right? It makes me feel so good. There are people in the world who understand the weight that is on a man's shoulders, right? But it's all women, and more men need to be at the forefront of men's rights. But we need these women. We need them. You know who you are. Everybody knows these, Roma and Emily King. Like, bless you girls and keep doing what you're doing. But a man needs to be doing this job. The equivalent is, if a man was at the forefront of like women's rights, a dude does not know what it's like to be a woman, nor will he ever, nor does he know, or will he ever know the weight on a woman's shoulders, right? We don't bear children. You get what I'm saying, man. I can do this all day. We don't know what it's like, right? We just know what from a man's perspective, and that's a very limited perspective. But the world does need men caring about women's issues, right? So, educate yourselves, fuckers. And if you're a woman watching this, thank you. And I got your back too. All I'm saying is that the invitation's open to anybody. We all go through fucking hard times, man. It's not a man or a woman thing, right? I'm a dude. All I know is dude shit. And if it's something that only dudes know, like, I'm here for you, man. I'm here for you. Because I know what's expected of us in the world. And I know the things that I talked about. I know how that's taboo. And I know how those things have affected my life. And we'll talk about that stuff in another day. We're talking about the fights, man. And that's why. Now I feel like I'll be beating a dead horse. I think that I have explained enough why I became such a knucklehead, right? I just don't need to keep, going over the same shit. I'm tired. I think it's time to wind it up. I got a million little tiny videos to cut together. My stupid phone won't download large files. Sorry for all the cuts. Okay, time to say this stuff. Like, comment, please subscribe. Help me out. Be a part of my gang, man. Be a part of my family. Help me grow this channel so I can get better equipment, so I can maybe hire some people to help with editing, so I can make better videos. I don't really care about quitting my job and shit. I love my job, but I do want to make better videos, and I can't do that with my iPhone, man. Like, I'm not equipped for all this, but I want to bring better equipment. I want to bring better content to you. So it's all free, man. Just hit a button, dude. Do me a solid. Anyway, this video was very hard on me. I think I need a beer. Yeah. And so I'm gonna go do that, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Oh, keep your fucking hands to yourselves. Come on.